Is it true? Europeans dislike Americans now? What happened? Hello and welcome to our Retire Early Lifestyle. We're happy to have you here today. We've been seeing now just recently on YouTube videos popping up about how Europeans and even other countries don't like Americans. Well, let me tell you what this is. How can a whole continent not like Americans, and why, just because of a few superficial videos of some young Europeans saying they think Americans are stupid or backwards, there's now all these videos out about it. We're seeing all kinds of shallow videos talking bad about America and Americans. They're everywhere. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So some guy with a camera is going around talking to Europeans about Americans. In this particular video, he is talking with a young person who clearly doesn't have much of a vocabulary. She says Americans are backwards. I mean, the title says everything. This title is trying to make it sound as if all Europeans think Americans are backwards. For one thing, the guy is putting all Europeans in a box when he says Europeans dislike Americans. I have to admit I didn't watch the video because the thumbnail says something that is already untrue. I'm just not interested in wasting my time on such superficial issues. You can kind of get an idea about a video when you study the title and the thumbnail. America is backwards, says this 20-something gal, according to the thumbnail. Now, it's quite all right to allow folks to say whatever they want, but we doubt Americans are going to take it very seriously. Most Americans would see this title and thumbnail and think, she doesn't know what America is and what it stands for, and she doesn't know anything about the people of America, as they come from all different parts of America, which happens to be as big or even bigger and more diverse than her Europe. She is most likely repeating something she's heard from someone else, someone in her crowd of people she is in contact with. It's a verbal form of copy and paste. Ah, yes. Copy and paste in the verbal narrative form is also all over the internet. Social media has almost destroyed one-on-one personalization and real conversations with one another. For example, this young person, or any young person for that matter, wouldn't look you in the face and tell you that you're stupid, would they? Would this young lady tell an American she thinks they're backwoods hillbillies to their face? Of course not, and she shouldn't. And quite frankly, we should all be very careful when we talk about other peoples from other lands and their cultures that they grew up in. But video creators know that people eat these types of videos up. It's sensationalism at its core. People love videos that talk about them, and is one reason why those personality videos do so well. You know, the ones that tell people what kind of a person they are through their personality? They can tell you your whole character just by your personality type. Don't fall for the gimmick. Deep down, Americans know full well that Europeans do not dislike them. Most Europeans want the Americans traveling to their country. In 2020, Frank and I traveled all over Europe for over 18 months, traveling from west to the east to the Balkans and back again to the west. And we cannot think of one incident, not one, where we were treated any differently than when we were living in Latin America. In fact, most people were very congenial and welcoming. And of course, we know that people behave differently when it's in person, talking to you face to face, but still, we didn't feel like we were being snubbed or treated differently by the Europeans or anything like that. And we spent many months in different cities of Europe, and we believe we would have been snubbed or met with some sort of conflict if it's really true that Europeans dislike Americans. Sure, there are stereotypes, and people love to make those defining characteristics for a whole continent, but that's not reality. Not all Americans wear baseball caps. Not all Americans drink too much and are loud and boisterous. And not all Americans wear sandals with socks or wear shorts into nice restaurants. These are just some of the things that Italians say they don't like about Americans. I think the word dislike should be changed to uncomfortable. This is very superficial stuff that no one should really care about too much. Do you see what we're saying here? It certainly doesn't call for disliking someone over. That's silly. So yes, very sensationalistic videos will garner that curiosity to click. But most of our viewers see it for what it really is, and that is people that really don't know each other. It's human nature to say we dislike something that we don't understand or don't feel comfortable about, but dislike is just a nicer way to say hate, and that's just too strong of an emotion over these petty behaviors. They don't know you or me, but hey, it makes for good video fodder, right? However, the locals from a handful of cities that foreigners move to in these countries, especially in developing countries and in places like Spain, Italy, and Portugal, we could see how they could get frustrated with all the tourism and foreigners invading their spaces and raising rents. But those cities are a fraction of the rest of the peoples in that country. They don't really hate Americans, and they're probably never been to America before. Or maybe they have been to America and they went to New York or Los Angeles and are thinking that all Americans are like New Yorkers and Californians. That's a joke. That's like saying the Dutch are like Italians. Why do the British look down on Americans? Balderdash. This is another silly title to get you to click. I didn't even watch this video either. The title to me sounds so over the top. The thumbnail is laughable. Why don't we see Americans making videos about why they dislike Europeans? If they did, it would go something like this. The British are too formal and drank too much tea and eat too many crumpets. The Italians are snobbish and think they're better than you. The Mexicans drive erratically and the Swedes are too standoffish and it's hard to make friends, while the French and Germans are rude and impolite. Do you want me to go on? I mean, so what? I'm really surprised that these superficial videos are garnering so much attention. I mean, really. Let me tell you a little secret. I used to think the French were rude people, but we had some fantastic French friends for several years that moved to Ecuador. We would go out to eat together and we would have them over for dinner and vice versa. They were wonderful people. I'm saying this because people should be careful what they say about other cultures because of a few encounters with Americans or mimicking what your peers are saying. And you should also not stereotype the whole culture of a country because it's just not reality. And let's not forget that America is where all those other peoples wanted to escape to through the generations. That is before all of the latest awkward stuff in the mainstream news as of late. America is known as the land of opportunity, and because of this, many immigrants from different countries settled in America. Citizens from different countries choose to migrate to the United States before other countries due to several business opportunities. There are 340 million people in America, and they come from all over the world. Some of them are Italians, Germans, Danes, Mexicans, Africans, Portuguese, etc., and many are naturalized as American citizens and have lived and worked in America for years. I'm not talking about the irregular folks. So why would Europeans hate living in the U.S.? Because it is not their country. They're not from the United States. And it is a perfect example of why Americans don't like living in other countries. Contrary to what you hear and see, most Americans should not live in unfamiliar lands. It's not normal for people to move to a totally different country with a different language, dress, behaviors, foods, traditions, religions, and customs and think you're going to love it. This is why we always say on this channel, most Americans end up moving back home to familiar territory after 1 to 5 years. They're home. So here we go again. America is backwards. Why do Europeans dislike Americans so much? And it looks like the same girl. It's just a different vlogger doing the same one with the same girl saying that America is backwards again. So it's getting copied and pasted on as a video on YouTube. This is coming from someone who doesn't know anything whatsoever about America, and sorry to say, but she sounds ignorant. America is far from being backwards. America may be going through a rather tough time at the moment, but it is pulling out of it just like America always has in the past. That's what history shows us. All of this fluff appears to be superficially taken from what is in mainstream news and really doesn't go any further than that. Do you think it's accurate to form an opinion about a people in a distant land from what you hear in the news? America has more than 3 times the millionaires than any other country in the world. Top 15 countries with the most millionaires. Being a millionaire is a financial success. The United States has at least double the billionaires than in any other country. Here is the list of the top 13 countries with the most billionaires. The United States has more millionaires and billionaires than other countries due to the strong economy, entrepreneurial culture, and opportunities for wealth creation, particularly in technology and finance. Additionally, the U.S. attracts wealthy individuals from around the world seeking better investment opportunities and a favorable business environment. Let's look at some other things that make America great today. America comes in just shy of second behind Japan with the most important inventions that we use today, such as electricity, than any other country on the planet. Japan is number 1. The U.S. is the hub of all innovative inventions. Most new technology was invented in America, from personal computers, lasers, mobile phones, video games, photocopiers, and even the internet. Other inventions from the U.S. include hearing aids, microwave ovens, steamboats, submarines, refrigerators, telegraphs, dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, cash registers, electric cookers, electronic TV, credit cards, air conditioners, and much, much more. Invention rarely happens in a single burst of insight. It usually is a steady, incremental process guided by intuition, research, and thorough work. And that's not all. Americans are some of the most generous people on the planet. Americans donate more to charity or to help others than most other countries, so it's not just about the greed and or wealth. American people are considered to be some of the most cheerful and nicest people. They tend to help people even though they are strangers to them. Americans like to hype other people even for their minimalist wins. However, in other countries, people try to maintain distance from other people and mind their own business. Americans are known for their business minds and spirit of working hard on their own business. The startup culture initially bloomed in America. Americans tend to learn business tactics from a very early age in their lives, unlike citizens in other countries. Therefore, it is not a surprise that the majority of all the big companies originally came from America. So friends, when you see a video titled "Why This Country Doesn't Like That Country," it's really just a bunch of fluff. When you see thumbnails saying Americans are stupid or backwards, remember that every country has their share of the low-hanging fruit and the best hanging fruit. So these things I've shown you here today that provide the other side of the story to all of these sensationalist videos and propaganda information that are essentially trying to divide people. Take care, everyone, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.